Hello, everybody. Welcome to our class. We have three students in our class, Connor, Joseph, and Alma. I hope you're all doing well. You are the best. What are we going to talk about? I've divided this into two parts, course introduction, and that includes live classrooms as well as deliverables. And then we'll focus heavily on deliverable one. For every live classroom I do, I focus on a different deliverable. We have 7 to do. So I'm going to work in the fashion of deliverable 1, 2, 3, unless, of course, you want me to focus on another deliverable. If you don't take it in order and you want to change it up, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to make a presentation on the deliverable that you want to work on. But for now, we're going to start with deliverable 1. So let's look inside our course. Inside your course, the first thing you'll see is the learning plan. Before beginning the course, you are required to complete a learning plan that will help you think about your strategy for successful completion of this competency course. Another thing that we're going to be working on are our live classroom sessions. Now, you need to attend a minimum of 6 live classroom sessions. Now, when I say attend, that means either come in person or watch the recording. I record all live classroom sessions. After you complete the live classroom, you'll be answered or asked a series of 3 questions. Please answer them truthfully. One of them asks you about viewing the live classroom. It's very important that you at least watch the live classroom recordings. Why? Because I focus on key points that you should include in the given deliverable. My goal is to help you succeed in our course. You may watch the live classroom session at any time because we record all live classroom sessions. What will we talk about? Well, these are just some general ideas, but the real thing that I want to focus on are the deliverables. This is a questionnaire that you'll complete after watching the live classroom session. You note that it is 10 points. However, later you'll discover that it's worth 1% of your grade. Each live classroom session is worth 1% of your grade. And remember, you need to watch at least 6 live classroom sessions. In addition to the live classroom sessions, you'll be completing 7 project assignments, deliverable 1, excuse me, through deliverable 7. And on this slide, you can see the topics of each deliverable. So, deliverables 1 through 6. Each of those deliverables is worth 11%, for a total of 66% of your grade. And then we have this big comprehensive deliverable, deliverable 7. It's worth 28% of your grade. And look at the line underneath. Students may submit each project deliverable a maximum of 3 times per deliverable. The highest grade is final. Now, when you're working on it, and if you try more than one, look at my comments. So if you don't score high on your first attempt, please read my comments. Think about them. If you have any questions, please contact me before starting your second attempt. 3 attempts per deliverable. Right, now that sounds pretty good, right? But there is a catch. Each of the rubrics has a possible score of 0 to 4. A student's overall score on the assessment is equal to their lowest score in a category. For example, a student may score a 4 on the first category, a 3 on the second, and a 1 on the third. What's your final score? Is it a 4, a 3, or a 1? That's correct. It's worth the lowest score, so it would only be worth 1. So even if you completed all the other parts and you did perfect on those, that 1 catches you. Now stop. If you get a 1, read my comments. I give you tips, and in some cases, I'll give you additional sources to help you succeed. And then when you feel comfortable and you're ready, try your second attempt. So break it down. We have 6 live classroom sessions we need to attend, either virtually or by watching the recording. Each live classroom session is worth 1% of your total grade, or a total of 6%. Deliverables 1 through 6, each one of those is worth 11%, for a total of 66%. And finally, Deliverable 7, it's comprehensive. It's worth 28% of your grade. Let's look at Module 1, Business Development versus Sales. When you first start working on a deliverable, I encourage you to read the content in your course first, and then watch the live classroom session. It will offer you several tips for success. Let's move in and zoom in on Deliverable 1, Business Development. You see the different sections of the assignment. Competency, scenario information. Don't just breeze by these. Actually read them. Get to know what it is you're going to be talking about in terms of Deliverable 1. Now, in some deliverables, that scenario information is truly important. You'll need all that information in order to successfully complete that deliverable. In other deliverables, the scenario information offers you some general information so you can prepare to complete the deliverable. This is the focus, your instructions. Let's look at the instructions for Deliverable 1. Write a 2 to 3 page article. Now stop. 2 to 3 pages. Minimum 2 to 3 pages. You may always write more than the minimum, but never write less than the minimum. So for example, it says 2 full pages. If you write less than 2, your grade will go down. So please be careful. Now, what points will you be addressing in Deliverable 1? Number 1, explain why it is important to make a distinction between business development and sales. Number 2, describe 2 characteristics unique to business development and 2 characteristics unique to sales. Number 3, summarize how both business development and sales contribute to a company's profitability. All right, let's pause for a second. If you look at those 3 points, focus on these words: explain, describe, summarize. Those all warrant full paragraphs. Please do not list items. By merely listing the items, your score will not be as high as you expected it to be. When it says explain, describe, summarize, it means in a couple of paragraphs. Remember, you have to write a minimum of 2 pages. And there are some resources, but throughout this lecture, I'm going to provide additional resources. The way I go about gathering those resources is I look at what you have to do for the deliverable, and then I find resources that might help you successfully complete the deliverable. Always, always, always look at the grading rubric before starting your paper. Know what is expected of you. I always encourage you to look at the mastery column because we all want to earn an A. So look at these points. Number one, thoroughly described why it is important to make a distinction between business development and sales. Number two, thoroughly described two or more unique characteristics to business development and two or more unique characteristics to sales. Number three, thoroughly summarize how business development and sales contribute to a company's profitability. So you get the idea. We're writing full paragraphs to complete this assignment. We're not just listing items. Now let's zoom in on number four. I've taught this class several times. And in terms of deliverable one, point number four usually gives students a problem. Why? Because here we're being asked to apply APA 7th edition formatting. Now, 7th edition formatting has several elements, including, and this is a big point, headings. You must include headings in your paper. So what are headings? Headings are 3 to 5 words, bold print, align left. In other words, flush against the margin. What do those headings do? It's similar to if you want to look at an outline. If you're writing an outline for a paper, you're going to have Roman numeral 1 and some information. And after that, that's your heading. After that, you have your subpoints. And the subpoints refer to what your heading is dealing with. It's the same way as if you're doing an APA formatting paper. Now, of course, we don't use Roman numerals, but we do use headings. Headings are 3 to 5 words, line left, bold print. Now, when the reader sees that heading, they know what information follows the heading. And then we go into heading number 2, which is a line left, bold, and then the content. Now, what are we using for headings for deliverable 1? We're looking back at the 3 items we need to discuss in our paper. For each item, look at it. Now, it's longer than 3 to 5 words. So just kind of take the keywords from that and use those keywords in your heading. They're supposed to be descriptive of the information that follows. 2 or more resources. That's another key point. When you're using resources in your paper, you find the resources, you read them, you paraphrase them, you cite your source in the body of the paper, and you put the reference. And I did say reference. That's what APA uses. That's the heading APA uses. So it should say works, or it should say references, not bibliography or works cited. That's not APA formatting. APA formatting is references. And then under that, you're going to include your 2 references. So when I look at your paper, I should see citations in the body of your paper and references at the end of your paper. You can have more than one citation that refers to the same reference, but you should always have at least one reference for the citation in the body of your paper. And you're using APA formatting for both the paper, the citations, and the references. And watch your spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Be careful. If you only use word spelling and grammar feature is only a tool. It will not identify all possible errors. All right, let's talk a little bit about this topic. First thing we want to do is we want to look at business development and sales. Now, the people that are engaged in business development are called BDRs. Sales, that's pretty self explanatory. That's sales rep. But they play different roles. Business development, the main objective is to find qualified leads. You don't want to just pick up any customer and try to bring them in your company. You need to interview them, find out what their needs are, and determine if their needs match the needs of your organization. Can your organization or your company meet that potential lead's needs? If not, don't waste anybody's time. Let them go. Next, we have sales or sales rep. The main objective is to close the deals. You can't have one without the other. You need both. Now let's look at some characteristics of both the business developers and the sales. On the left-hand side, the business developers. These are the people that get in touch first with a potential lead. If they qualify that lead as being somebody that your company can adequately serve, then they may pass it over to the sales rep. But let's look at the characteristics of the business developer. Number one, they have to be skilled listeners. They need to determine what their customers' needs and expectations are. And then they need to think, can our company meet and exceed those needs and expectations? Number two, high curiosity. Why? Because you must ask the right questions. You must dig deep, find out what this person wants. Can you meet those needs? The next characteristic, master of critical thinking. You don't just have a checklist and you're asking these questions that are on a checklist. Instead, the questions you write or ask for that potential lead are questions that will help you get in touch with that person. It's unique to that person. Don't treat all customers the same. And finally, use CRM software and EMS Excel. There's two software packages here, the CRM software and Microsoft Excel. You need to become familiar with both of those tools. They're widely used in most businesses and organizations. We'll be talking a lot about that CRM software, customer relations management software. Our school uses a form of CRM software, and daily I use Excel. Now let's note that sentence underneath the business developers. On average, BDRs make 75 telephone calls and send up to 40 emails to schedule just one meeting with a qualified lead. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of creative thinking, asking the right questions at the right time. And let's look at the sales characteristics. Power of persuasion. Definitely, because why? They're trying to close the deal. The business developer already identified them as a potential lead. Now is the time to close the deal. But you just can't close it with one meeting. It's going to take a while to build that relationship. Another characteristic is patience of a saint. Okay? Patience of a saint. The third, think outside of the box. Just like the business developer is thinking outside the box. You're thinking just about that person. You don't have a script to follow. You want to focus in on the specific needs and expectations of that potential customer. And not only must you consider their needs and expectations, but you also must consider the needs and expectations of your business. If you are just trying to grab any customer off the street and make them yours, that doesn't create a long-term relationship. Next characteristic, deliver quality information to the client. Clients want different types of information at different times. You must know what kind of information they're looking for at the time they're looking for the information. Usually, clients do research before they even approach you. Look at the lines underneath the sales rep. Getting a lead from the business developer is one thing. Converting them into a customer is another thing. And converting them into a long-term customer is even another thing. So think long-term. The average client will require at least 5 callbacks before they are ready to listen. And that means listen only. It does not mean they are ready to go buy from you. They're ready to listen to you. They've already researched your company. They already know something about you. And they've already researched other companies. Now is the time where they're going to compare you to other companies. On this slide, you see an icon, which has the popcorn in the movie. Anytime you see that, this means this is a movie. You are strongly encouraged to watch these. I'll put the link in the course announcement. The name of this movie, The Keys to Success in Business Development and Sales. Hopefully, watching these videos will give you ideas to write a quality deliverable paper. Infographic. Sometimes a picture says 1,000 words, right? And I also know that we generally don't have time to sit down there and read a book for every deliverable. Keep it short, keep it to the point, and move on. So I like to include infographics. I like to include movies and videos and sometimes articles. But this one is an infographic. The sales are in red. The business development is in purple. Come down the 2 columns. Compare the 2 columns as you come down. Gives you an idea of the difference between sales and business development. HubSpot. You see it? It's a 5-minute read. So it's short, to the point, helpful to help you write your deliverable. It's called Sales versus Business Development. What's the difference? Why do we need to know this? Think about the 3 points you have to write about. All this is starting to blend in to help you create a quality paper. I like this comparison chart. It provides column 1, basis for comparison, and then it shows sales and business development. For each comparison, compare sales to business development. What's occurring in each of these? And just come down the list. It gives you an idea how sales reps and business developers compare and contrast. Another one, short, sweet picture. Sales, business development. Sales are on the left, business development are on the right. What is being compared? Okay, now remember point number 4 in the grading rubric? It's talking about writing, watching your spelling and your grammar, making sure you use ABA formatting. Remember those? And using those 2 resources. I've already shared several resources with you. You're strongly encouraged to find additional resources. Just because I shared these with you does not mean that your paper is limited to using these. If you find something else that you like better, that'd be great. In fact, you might even share it with the rest of us. Okay, back to the grading rubric. When you first prepare to read or to write your deliverable, look at the grading rubric. What is it that you have to accomplish? Now write your deliverable. And before you submit your paper, pause. Grab that grading rubric again. Go through each point. Objectively evaluate your paper. Is it good as you could make it? Do you want to make any changes? I use this grading rubric when I grade your work. If it's not on the grading rubric, it's not graded. So please make sure you know what I'm going to be looking for. And this big thing, that APA formatting, please focus on that. That's a big stumbling block for everybody. Learning to use APA formatting is like learning to use a foreign language. Don't rely on any tools that say, hey, I can help you put it into APA formatting, because most tools are wrong. This is a great site. It's called Rasmussen University Online Library. And you'll see that this section in the online library is devoted to APA 7th edition. It offers you a wealth of information. Shows you how to do citations, references, how to set up your paper. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful source. Now, also look where that red arrow is. What's it pointing at? One is in the Word document, APA 7th edition paper template in Word. You feel uncomfortable writing an APA paper? Download that. Now it's going to have way more content than what you need. So when you're writing your paper, if you're using that template, please be sure to remove anything that is not needed in there. For example, sometimes it will have figures or tables showing you how to set them up using APA formatting. If you don't use those in your paper, please remove them. Right now, one thing you're going to have to make sure you include are headings in your paper. Headings are line left, bold, and they are descriptive of the information that follows. In your paper for Deliverable 1, you should have 3 headings. So what headings am I supposed to use? Well, go back to the assignment. It talks about the 3 points that you're going to be addressing in your paper. Now, granted, some of them are longer than 3 to 5 words, so look at them. See if you can't put them in 3 to 5 words that are descriptive of the information that will follow that heading. All right, now another thing you want to keep in mind. Body of your paper. Each paragraph should be indented. And then your references, there's another type of formatting that's being used. In the body of the paper, the first line of any paragraph is indented. But when it comes to the references, it's called a hanging indent. And that feature is available in Word, but it's called a hanging indent. And what that is the first line is flush against the margin, and all other lines are indented. So it's just the reverse of using the paragraphs in the body of your paper. Another video, 3 ways to indent paragraphs in Microsoft Word. You can use the tab key, the ruler, or the paragraph dialog box. If you're not familiar with indenting paragraphs in Microsoft Word, I encourage you to watch the video. Keep in mind, body of the paper, use first line indent. References, use hanging indent. All right, so this concludes our live classroom. We talked about the welcome. We got 3 fabulous students with us. Then I talked about the course introduction, which included the live classroom and deliverables. We know that we have up to 3 times for each deliverable, but we also know that you'll receive the lowest score possible. We don't average grades. We don't give you the highest grade. We take the lowest grade. But if you're not happy, you can write again, but always refer to my comments. And if you're confused as to what I'm trying to say to you, call me or email me. I will be more than happy to help you. I check my email multiple times a day. And then we concluded by focusing specifically on Deliverable 1. We looked at the 3 points you'll be addressing. We noted the length of our paper. We know at a minimum we must write 2 full pages. Always write more, but I encourage you to never write less. Always use APA formatting. We know a great site to go to, and that's the Rasmussen University Online Library. And when we get to the online library, we want to go to the 7th edition section. All these links will be available to you so you can gather them quickly. And then we concluded by focusing on Deliverable 1. I stressed the importance of using the grading rubric. And you, if you're ever confused, if you ever need to ask any questions, please send me an email or call me. Look at my phone number. It's 757 962 3593. Okay, now hold up. That's a landline. Please do not send me a text message because I can't receive text messages on my telephone. Now, if you call me and I'm not home, please leave a message. I always call my students. If they leave a message, I call them. In that message, just take your time. Don't go talk too fast. So if you talk too fast, I may never catch your phone number. That has happened. So state your name, your telephone number, including your area code. State the class you're taking, and if you wish, ask me your question, and I will be sure to call you back. You can see my office hours. I like to put it this way rather than a specific time because my goal is to serve you. So basically, call me, email me, whatever, whenever you need me. Picture it this way. You're sitting in front of your monitor doing your work. You have a question. Ask me the question. I'm on the other side of your monitor. Reach out and I'll be there for you. Thank you very much. I hope this helps you get started on Deliverable 1.